God bless you, one and all. Welcome back to the Bishop's Corner. And of course, my name is Bishop Dr. Herbert N. Scott, the Chief Prelate of Liberty Hall, Cathedral of Praise, right here in the heart of Brooklyn. And certainly we want to thank God for the man of God himself, that's known as Philip Reed. He's affectionately known as Dr. Phil, and he happens to be the visionary for the Bishop's Corner. And certainly we want to thank God for the panel that we do have this afternoon. We thank God for the lovely Reverend Dr. Heather Francis that is with us. Can we make her feel welcome, please? God bless you indeed, woman of God. Next, we want to thank God for the delightful, the lovely Dr. Dolores Ben that is with us. Amen. And certainly, woman of God, it is indeed a pleasure. Next, we want to thank God for the apostle himself, Apostle Lucien Rojas. God bless you, my friend. It is indeed a pleasure one more time to have you on the Bishop's Corner. Let's go up north at this time. We want to thank God for a great man of God that's with us, and we thank God for his wisdom. Bishop Dr. Neville Wolliston, man of God, certainly it is a pleasure just to have you on the Bishop's Corner. And of course, we want to thank God for a wonderful young lady that's with us, very, very knowledgeable, our Karen Mayo. And she happens to be a brain health trainer and integrative nutritionist. She's with us. She was with us last week, and we do thank God for her expertise on the subject matter this afternoon. Thank you very, very much, woman of God. Now, since we have you on for the first time, we'll be asking you at this time, would you be so kind as to just tell us a little about yourself, please, and that which you are indeed an expert in.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for your introduction. I am an award-winning international best-selling author of Mindful Eating. I am a health and wellness expert who specializes in sports nutrition. And today I'm going to be talking about the brain, foods and spices. Yes, so please see your medical doctor or health professional before implementing any of my suggestions, as I am not a medical doctor. And get those blood panels done at least once a year. Okay, here we are. So our brain is really important. It actually runs the world, right? All brains run the world. Everybody's got a brain. But let's chat about the cerebellum. So our cerebellum is the first to be developed when we are babies. And it goes from the cerebellum to the frontal lobe. So when we're born, we have the motor skills, and the coordination, of the baby standing up, you can kind of visualize that. And then that's when the vision starts, the coordination from either hand or eye. And then you go forward to the occipital lobes, and those are developed and with vision, vision distortions, color blindness also appears there. And then moving forward to the parietal lobes, which is your sense of direction. It's also where you're seeing objects in space, and kind of like your sensory processing. Then moving over to temporal lobes, which are in memory, learning, mood stability, and visual and auditory processing. So like your temper control, people's have temper control. So that's where the temporal lobes sometimes don't get fully developed in males until they're 28 to 30. And in females, they don't fully get developed until they're about 25. So then moving forward to your frontal lobes. So we kind of call that the executive, right? So it's the focus, it's the forethought, impulse control and judgment. And sometimes your focus and judgment and impulse control is not fully developed. So sometimes when you hear your teenagers or even your young adults, children say that, you can't tell me what to do kind of thing, right? So that's where that hasn't been developed fully. So prefrontal is the prefrontal lobe is functions in judgment and intention. And sometimes problems with the prefrontal could be lack of forethought, right? Impulsivity, procrastination, and then lack of empathy could be one of the problems in your prefrontal lobe. I think that may cover the cerebellum to the prefrontal lobe. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you very, very much, Karen. Tonight, let me just put forth the topic that we are dealing with. And the topic is, Are We What We Eat? Part 2, Food and its Effect on the Brain. However, before we should go into our program tonight, let me say this, that our hearts do go out for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. Let's pray very, very much for them. They are really having a trying time. And those of us can be a blessing financially. Let's do so. We cannot, let's just spend time on our knees, believing God that the battle is not theirs, but the battle certainly is the Lord's. And we know that the God that we serve, there is absolutely nothing too hard for him. So let's remember our brothers and sisters over there. They need our praise. We want to welcome tonight also our Pastor Richard McKenzie that has just joined us. Man of God, certainly it is a pleasure once again to have you on the Bishop's Corner. Food and its effect on the brain. Food and its effect on the brain. Karen, let me ask you a question, young lady. Does food really have an effect on the brain?
It does really have an effect on the brain. It goes even into the dopamine and serotonin neurotransmitters. So as you know, serotonin is made in your gut. Like 95% of serotonin is actually made in your gut and is responsible for mood stability, sleep, and appetite control, and social engagement. So you can almost see where the serotonin, like if you're like low in serotonin, and sometimes people may be dramatically low in serotonin, like at certain times in women's menstrual cycles, some people may be irritable or even depressed. So being low in serotonin is a common cause for anxiety and depression.
I see. Okay, thank you very, very much. Is there any question that the panel at this time would like to put to Karen? If not, let us begin. Question number 1, Karen. How is the brain, the heart, and the gut related to our health?
I would even go a little deeper and say, is it related to our mental health? Because each of the brain's neurotransmitters, which I kind of just led in on with the serotonin, they all have the motor neurons, and they're all able to, the heart, the brain, and the gut, they're all receive and process information, they store it, and they're able to access it again when it's needed, right? So it can sense, it can learn, it can remember, communicate, and have the ability to actually change itself. So let's start with the brain. It knows how to learn. It has cognitive functions. It's conscious, and it is able to be creative, right? So it has the I think understanding, and it verbiage is almost like it recognizes. And then so we have the brain, right? We have the conscious. Then we have the heart, which handles the almost the like all of the emotional processing, and it has the expression of values, and it is recognized by the heart is I feel, right? Or I have a heavy heart. So those are communication skills that the brain, the heart have together. And then when adding in the gut responds to stress. So like that fight, flight, freeze response, that danger, that's all the gut. And it's almost telling you, like when they all working together, that it's like the gut kind of tells you what to do. Like you're going to freeze, you're going to fight, or you're going to flight, and they all have definitely different emotional and mental roles. So the brain analyzes, right, information and applies the logic, and then the heart brain kind of senses that I feel, and then the gut brain is used to like almost understand like our identity. And it's almost it's a deeper than saying it's the gut brain connection, and it's also deeper than saying how are they connected. It's like the mental health part of it is what really is what causes, like when you have let's give you an example. So when you have somebody pass away, like you have people that have been married for like 60, 65 years, 75 years, one of the spouses passes away, and then, within 90 days or sometimes 120 days, the other spouse passes away. And it's almost like the heart, brain, gut connected was the relationship is broken down. So it's almost like the person dies of a broken heart. And the brain is taking this all in also along with the gut. So I believe it's much deeper than just the actual saying the gut brain connection or the heart. It's more of a mental health situation.
So then, Karen, let me ask you this question then. What would you say then are some of the healthy foods that we need to feed the brain?
Okay, well, some healthy foods to feed the brain. So you need good blood flow, right? So good blood flow would be like beets, beet greens, and then a lot of the herbs and spices that have that high ORAC capacity would be like the cloves, oregano. They open your blood vessels. Cayenne pepper is another good one. Parsley. Let's see. And then, eating the rainbow. So eating the rainbow, like colorful vegetables, like that heart behind me. Those are all really great things for blood flow. And let's see. Oh, radishes, right? So radishes are that, love radishes. And celery. But I think the major thing to actually talk about when it comes to blood flow and lack of blood flow is what you need to skip or limit in your life, right? So you want to limit sugary foods and sugary drinks, because those are really empty calories that you're just putting into your body.
Okay. So we should be eating foods then that will increase the blood flow to the brain.
Yes.
Okay.
And also that like reverse aging. So omega-3s are really good for that, right? So that's good for inflammation. Cayenne pepper, the anti-inflammatory, which would be the ginger, cinnamon, kind of everything. I know I'm going to say these over and over again because I want everyone to actually get it, that they should have them in their pantry and available to use.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Not that there's any of us online that's like that, but the question is this. What would you say are the best foods for seniors to eat? Now, as I said, I don't think that there's any seniors on the line tonight, but what would you say are the best foods for seniors?
Omega-3s. Antioxidant rich foods like cocoa or cacao, raw cacao. And you want to have like choline rich foods that support memory. So shrimp, eggs, scallops, turkey, mushrooms, and especially like shiitake mushrooms. Those are really good. Chickpeas and lentils.
Okay.
You can make homemade hummus, or you can have a lentil soup. And collard greens actually are really good because those have those dark green leafy colors. And that's so good for your blood and for blood flow.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Just in case. Now, let me just open this up to the panel for those of you that would like to ask Karen some questions.
Yeah, Karen, this is Bishop Wolliston. Thank you so much again for coming on. We definitely enjoyed you last time you were here, and thank you again. My question to you is, it seems as if there's a connection between what you eat and what you become, obviously, as far as the brain is concerned, in development. In the school system, why isn't the foods that are needed to develop young people or children, why is that not in the lunch program? I've had school kids in the system, and it's usually the burgers, the fries, the fried chicken, so forth. Do you know what is the reason behind that? Why they're not giving the children more foods that are better for them as far as development?
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, and I wish it was different. I don't know why. I think education or lack of education is really the key there. I know that they do community gardens sometimes in Manhattan. I know they have a couple of them in in Queens and also in the Bronx. But as far as food goes, I wish that it was more like home-based, kind of starts at home as well. But, we talked about this kind of a little bit last week about growing your own seeds and growing food from seeds. But as far as the lack of education, I think there's a mayor, what's his name? Oh, Eric Adams. He's really, really great with the way he has changed his health from someone that was overweight and diabetic to what he's very fit and healthy now. I mean, I had actually put a proposal out to him to get some healthier options and choices and education into the New York City school districts. So I'm hoping that at some point I'll get a second email back. I got a first email, just waiting for the second email.
Real quickly, your child, my child, if they're introduced to a Big Mac or burger early in their lives, I mean, how do you get them to go to Beats after that?
A little encouragement. So yes, you can have your Big Mac, but how about we have a salad with the Big Mac, or cut the Big Mac in half and share. I understand the dynamic of maybe a single mom or single dad having to go through this, but it all starts with learning the basics really of healthy eating and also how your body works. Your body is so perfect. God made us perfect. But there are challenges. And if you're just making small changes every day, again, it's they have options at Burger King. They have options at McDonald's. There's options in every fast food restaurant where there are better options. You can make the best options for you and your family. They have salads there. You can go to a grocery store. There's salad bars are all over the place. You can, there's no, I don't understand you don't have anything to choose from. There are choices that you can make in every restaurant that you go to.
Thank you.
I just have one question, Karen. You mentioned some great options like shrimp, which I love, and eggs and so on. Can you give us some idea as to how to prepare these foods so that they're really beneficial to us and we don't kill the foods themselves?
Yes, of course. So the best way to cook food is to not cook it all the way through, right? So you want to leave just a little bit of the actual DNA of the food and not like overcook it. So roasting is a really great way. Steaming is a really great way, and saute is a really great way to get all the nutrition that you need from out of the foods. And again, going with the seasons of the year, so spring, summer, winter, fall, each season has a different, let's say, mode on your body. So when you go into spring is more about, renewing itself, eating your greens, eating the beautiful, amazing seasonal foods. So again, just roasting, sauteing, and don't fry, because frying is giving you not only the omega-6s, which cause cholesterol, blood issues, hypertension. It's just not the healthiest way to cook with that. And, always adding in veggies too, veggies with your protein, and then protein with your healthy fat are all great combinations.
Are you saying no to frying? I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Doc.
As you mentioned, seasonal, we are coming into the summer, and barbecuing is a big thing for us. What are your thoughts on barbecuing? I know they've got a lot of research in it, but what are your thoughts on that?
I'm the type of person that don't say no to anything, but just be aware of what barbecuing can do to your body. Again, it's seasonal. If you can do it on what's that called? Ceramic grills, that would be a lot healthier. Or even on cast iron would be a lot healthier than going into gas grills, just because the carcinogens come from the propane and the gas and go into your food. So it's a lot healthier for you and for your gut to cook on either cast iron or ceramic.
How about charcoal?
Yeah, old-fashioned charcoal, right? So yeah, you can totally, you can cook on charcoal. Mm-hmm. As long as you have it with the grates. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was asking earlier, are you saying no to frying, even if it's vegetable oil or coconut oil?
So I'm saying no to vegetable oil because I don't know of any vegetable that has oil in it. Coconut oil, yes, all day long you can cook with coconut oil. Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Right?
Yep. Yes.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yes.
I have a question as the only senior on the panel. And we're talking about the effects of foods on the brain. Caffeine. I love my cup of coffee in the morning. However, caffeine is something that's been linked to insomnia and anxiety. Can you explain to us, if possible, what is it that that caffeine does that actually gives us such a higher risk of both of these things, the anxiety and the insomnia? And is it something that we should limit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So caffeine, even though we all love caffeine, we all love coffee. Yes, it does. It is not good for our brain as it constricts the blood vessels, which also prevents blood flow. And that's where you see a lot of, I didn't show the, next time I will. I have shots of what your brain looks like with low blood flow, like Alzheimer's, and also dehydration. If you saw what your brain looked at dehydration, which caffeine does, it dehydrates you, right? It's a diuretic. Before and after, you may think of drinking different things, like even those Red Bulls and all of those monster drinks. Those are so incredibly bad, incredibly bad for your brain. It actually, it actually looks like it eats and it shrivels your brain vessels. If I showed you pictures of what people's brains look like, you would never ever pick up another Monster or Red Bull. It's really horrific. But caffeine is it's constricting. So yeah, there's no blood flow there. But coffee, make sure, the only thing I have to say about that is just to make sure that it's organic. And if you can, organic. And look for a local roaster near you, because you'll find really good beans there.
Does it make a difference if it's decaf?
Well, decaf, there's an extra process, right? So it's processed. So there's another process to that. But yeah, just as much as you can, just make sure it's organic or it's a local roaster.
So you're saying essentially that coffee is bad for you?
No, I'm not really saying that. I am, but I'm not. It's bad for your brain, but it's bad for you if you take it into more than 2 cups.
Okay.
Because it then affects your adrenal glands as well. And your adrenal glands is what helps you sleep, and it's your circadian rhythm as well.
Okay.
Well, then we should limit the amount of coffee that we take per day.
Yeah.
Keep it down to 2 cups. Now, what about those that's in the office drinking like 7, 8 cups a day? Because not being funny, when I used to be at 600 Fifth Avenue, let me say this, per day, 3, 4, 5, 6 cups of coffee.
Get you through the day.
Yeah, that's that roller coaster. Unfortunately, that's not healthy.
Not healthy at all.
Yeah, no.
And
Okay.
for me personally, Bishop, I find myself drinking more coffee than eating. Because seriously, I'll drink a cup of coffee in the morning. I won't eat breakfast, and I don't know what it does, but that cup of coffee will keep me until like 1 o'clock. I'm still not hungry. And then I'll drink another cup of coffee. I might eat something very light.
Mm-hmm.
But is there something in the coffee that makes me not want to eat? Because the coffee will keep me. I'll go the entire day just drinking 3 cups of coffee and I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the caffeine. It's really the caffeine. I can give you a couple of other alternatives, right? So they have mushroom coffee that's made out of mushrooms, and also it's got a little bit of caffeine in it. And then there's chicory root, which has no caffeine in it, but it tastes like coffee.
Mm.
And that might be another option to have, like as you get in, you have your first cup in the morning or whenever you have it, and then you want your second cup or your third cup, maybe switching to chicory root with that, because again, it has the same taste as coffee does. It just doesn't give you the jitters.
Okay. Wow. Never heard about mushroom coffee. Never
Karen,
heard about that.
Yes.
I'm not bashing the senior on the program, but my question is coffee a viable alternative to a meal?
No.
I didn't think so.
Thanks, Bishop. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Karen, hear me. Okay, we can drink too much coffee. Now, what about fruit? Is it possible that we eat too much fruit? Fruit's supposed to be good for you.
Fruit is good for you.
Yes.
It's really suggested in the morning. So as soon as you wake up or as soon as your first meal, have fruit. And the reason behind that is because have it, or you can have it like as a snack between breakfast and lunch, because at that point you're layering your food. So and fruit, when it sits in your like warm places, it starts to ferment, right? And then gas and bloating start. So that's why it's really suggested and recommended to have fruit in the morning, so it has time to digest, and try not to have it in the afternoon or the evening, since it does ferment, and then gas and bloating and all of that stuff starts.
So then, Karen, how would you describe healthy eating?
So berries, like berries in the morning. And you can do even a green smoothie in the morning with your fresh pineapple, frozen blueberries, and I do greens in my smoothie. So, but if I don't have a smoothie, I have oatmeal. I have oatmeal with chia seed, sunflower seeds. I put granola in it. I just kind of like do my overnight oats. I love that. So I'll do oats. And then if I don't do that, I have eggs and bacon, with some Ezekiel toast with avocado spread on it with a couple of radishes and some microgreens. So
Did you say bacon?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes, bacon. Yes. Everything is better with bacon, right?
Amen.
Well, as long as the portion is correct.
Yes.
Yes. As long as the animals was handled properly and processed properly.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, it's
one more. In terms of dementia, it has been said that individuals that have a high intake of saturated and trans fats are at a higher risk for dementia. Can you give any insight on that, and why is that? Because that's something that is very intriguing to me.
Right. So the vegetable oil that has no oil in the vegetable, that is part of the trans fats. That is part of the process of getting dementia. It has the omega-6s and the bad omega-6s. So what happens is the blood flow stops. So those are, processed foods, and that's where dementia. So if you put your thumbs in your ears and and put your hands like this is really what dementia looks like. And that's only showing where the blood flow actually is, where all of the other parts where I didn't touch is lack of blood flow. And I wish I would have had that slide ready for you guys, because to see what it looks like is pretty fascinating. And you'll want actually to have brain envy, which I am pleading with everyone to have, is brain envy, and really care about what your brain looks like, and really care what other people's brains look like too, because you're interacting with that person, or they're interacting with you or your children or your spouse or your mom and dad. So you really want to care about other people's brains as well. So that's why we are talking about all of this, because we want to have good brains.
What is brain envy?
Brain envy is what happens when you see what your brain looks like from a surface and also blood flow.
Okay.
If I could share, do I have one of those? Phil, do you have one of those? I don't know if he does or not. Oh, there we go.
That's the brain on dementia. That's a dementia brain.
The one on the left.
Go ahead.
The one on the left or the right?
The one on the right, because see how shrunk it is?
Oh, I see. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And you see the one on the left has got all the blood flow. See all the blood flow in that?
Got you. And that's as a result of what now?
Of things that hurt your brain. Things that hurt your brain. So it could be relationships. It could be sugar. It could be processed foods. It could be the drive-through.
Saturated fats,
all of that.
Fats, yeah.
Is stress a contributor to that?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's basically like an MRI on your brain, correct? Or a scan?
So at the Amen clinics, we do something called a SPECT scan, which is a triangle, three-headed. Can you do the triangle right there? It's a three-headed camera that does surface and also shows blood flow. But yes, you can tell where the blood flow is and where it isn't, how low it is, and if there's actually extra activity happening in the basal ganglia, in the cingulate gyrus, and in the prefrontal and the cerebellum, and all of the other places.
Now, I don't know if you know the answer to this. Would this be covered by your insurance, and would your primary care have to recommend it?
No, your primary care does not have to recommend it. They do have insurance. You'll have to find out when you call there if you're covered or not. They do have, if you mention my name, they do have a plan for family and friends. But I mean, just reach out to me and I can help with all that.
And last question, can this be reversed?
Yes. And what is so amazing is you're not stuck with the brain that you currently have. There are things that you can do, like everything we were talking about, to help your brain and also to increase blood flow, because that's what we want. We need blood flow to go to all parts of your brain. And we only have one brain, it's all we have. So we got to take care of it.
Wow. Interesting. Thank you.
Okay.
Karen, just a personal question here. Food trucks. Sometimes we see these trucks on the street. Okay, and they're cooking up food inside. You don't know where they wash their hands. You don't know where they go to the bathroom and so forth. And it brings on a lot of questions in my mind. How healthy do you think those foods are?
Well, I think you're living on the edge and you're taking your life in your hands when you decide if you're gonna eat from there. I think we've all done it from one time or another. And I think we're all still alive, but it's just a matter of making the best decisions, for you and your family at this point, because, again, food isn't like it was, 75 years ago. It's different. It's made different. It's genetically modified. It's milled differently. And, it's just not the same. So again, we've all done, it's not about dieting. It's about living. Right. So
yeah,
that's what and we go to baseball games, we go to football games, we go to wherever, we do all that. And you just got to have fun.
Okay.
Life is about having fun. And again, just paying attention. And that's why it's so important to pay attention Monday through Friday. Right. So pay attention Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, or wherever you're going to be at some time. You don't necessarily have to go, oh, you know what? I've been eating like crap all week and now I can't have this. But if you've been eating healthy all week, your brain has got a really good chance of taking that, whatever you're going to eat, that brownie sundae or whatever.
Okay, thank you very much. One more question before we should go on to question number 2. MSG is bad, but why exactly is it bad?
It's a carcinogen. That's end of story, period.
And what does that do?
It creates inflammation in our body, all over our body. It can cause tumors to grow. It can cause all kinds of bad things that happens when we get sick.
Okay.
And you can do research side effects of MSG, and I'm sure you won't want to have it again.
Okay, thank you much. Okay, question number 2. What are some things that cause damage to the brain, causes Alzheimer's and other brain diseases?
Okay, right. So we're talking about blood flow, right? So caffeine, nicotine, any kind of heart issue. We were talking about the heart before. So any kind of heart issues like high blood pressure, anything like that. Sedentary lifestyle is really bad for the brain. High iron levels is premature aging. I know we had talked about that earlier. So be careful of that, but I think you have that under control. So you're giving blood on that point. So inflammation, having low omega-3s. So you can actually go get your omega-3 levels checked. Having a high C-active protein level. So having a ton of inflammation in your body, a leaky gut, gum disease is a no-no. It's really bad for your brain. Toxins like mold, pesticides, the kind of like the heavy metals, anesthesia is really bad for your brain. And just the environmental stuff. So stuff you put on your body, like the lotion, shampoos, cosmetics, mental health, such as bipolar, right? Undiagnosed mental illness or mental health is bad for your brain. Allergies, infectious disease, and such as Lyme. Excuse me. And then having abnormal hormone levels are really bad for your brain. So again, getting that blood work done will tell you all of that. Being overweight, obese, high blood sugar, we talked about that, and diabetes is really bad for your brain. And sleep. Not having enough sleep is really bad for your brain.
So are you saying, Karen, that the key to a healthy brain is basically proper blood flow?
It's one of them, yes, absolutely. Because when you have lack of blood flow, you're not thinking properly, right? So you can just almost imagine when there's no blood flow going to the brain, you have low blood flow in your heart. We talked about that earlier. So when you have low blood flow in your heart, your gut is also low blood flow. And when that happens, then you have your microbiome that's starting to have, bad bugs start to grow more, yeast happens, candida, all kinds of things can happen. And then when your brain and your heart are low blood flow, so is your libido. And the libido is connected to the brain and the heart.
Okay. Karen, you did mention that, what's that pepper you mentioned? Cayenne pepper. You said that cayenne pepper is something that's good. Now, my question is this, because I eat a lot of Scotch bonnet pepper. Now, is that as good as the cayenne? Does it do the same thing?
Yes, it is. It is yummy. Love those. Those are really good. And if you can mix it with whatever you're eating with turmeric, it's more of a powerful punch for anti-inflammatory.
So then you're saying that hot pepper does not give you a bad attitude?
It does not. It's a happy attitude.
Is your hearted?
That's your dopamine.
Question. You mentioned something about lotion.
Yeah.
Can you emphasize on that? What correlation does lotion have with and the things that we're rubbing on our body?
Environmental.
Right. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, yep. So, yep, exactly. So it's environmental. So you have all the BPAs, which are in plastics and to-go containers and all of that. They have the same thing in lotions. So anything that, like if you don't recognize the ingredients, don't put it on your body. I know.
Okay.
I know.
So Karen, then, let me ask you this question. What effect does coffee really have on the gut? The gut.
Well, it depends how sensitive you are for caffeine. So every body is different, right? So one person can have it. It could actually be poison for one person and then, not affect the other person, a different person. So like it's a stimulant. So the stimulant can affect your gut in within 20 minutes. I mean, it depends on what happens when you drink caffeine. If you can handle it, that's great, but maybe, your wife or your spouse can't. So, it's 20 minutes and you'll know because it's a stimulant. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another question, young lady. What do you think of juice cleanse? Using a juice to cleanse the body?
I like the combination of veggies and juice, but juice really should only be drank in the morning. That is it.
And why is that?
Because it's fruits, right? And it's high in sugar, so your blood sugar takes a spike. And when it comes to juicing, vegetable juices, I think, are probably the best. And juicing, I believe that if you're looking to do something similar to like fasting, juice can be good. Veggie juicing can be good.
As opposed to fruits?
Yes.
But the veggie has no taste.
Well, you could add one fruit in with your veggie.
A mango?
Yeah, you could do a mango if you want. Yeah.
A berry.
Actually, mango is really good for your dopamine. So yes. So mango is good. Mango is dopamine. I'm sorry, it's serotonin. Sorry about that. So serotonin. So it's good. It's the happy, neurotransmitter.
Okay.
Dopamine would be your protein, right? So your protein powders. Like veggie would be broccoli or spinach. Like I put a lot of spinach into my smoothie.
You said it was a happy what?
Don't worry, be happy transmitter.
Also, if I'm a bad mood, I just eat a mango. Just asking.
Karen, I do like the subject tonight, food. I believe in a sense of balance, spirit, soul, and body. And we struggle more with that area than people usually think. We see back early in the Bible where a man sold his birthright and give away his blessings for a pot of lentil. And while we talk about drinking, drugging, and the other sins, we sort of put glutton on the back burner, but the book of Proverbs 23:21 says, drunkenness and glutton shall come to poverty. And so we eat in bulk a lot, and we eat late, and we eat the wrong food, if I may use the term. And we don't see that as a sin. Nobody calls us out. I think it's a billion-dollar industry today with diet and so forth. And the healthcare, the money that is spent on healthcare is one of the probably biggest budget apart from the military that we spent on. And we hear that talk so much times in terms of the political field, healthcare, healthcare, healthcare. I'm 62 and I still struggled with eating. I'm not terribly overweight, but still my body mass index, my BMI, is not where it's supposed to be in terms of my height, age, and weight. So yeah, I think it's an important subject in terms of bringing balance. You know, we have to eat, we all eat. I'm fascinated by different cultures and food. Jesus never sent the multitude away empty. He fed them with bread and fish. So food is really critical, you know, and sometimes we pray for God to heal us, but we eating bad. And we say, God, heal me. And we plug up the arteries with all that stuff and so forth. But my question is this. Today I was in Costco and I picked up a jar of butter. And the one that I picked up was two of them. And I looked at the, you know, the contents and trans fat and the sodium and the, you know, the calories. And I end up taking the one with 60 calories instead of 80. I can't believe it's butter. Is it really butter? and Karen, also I pick up salmon, but the salmon is farm, it's not wild. The wild salmon is like $18, $19 a pound. The farm salmon is like $10, $12 a pound. What's the difference in terms of the farm as to the wild? And like we live in the city of New York, 8.5 million people. We don't grow anything here. Obviously, it comes from outside. And in order for us to preserve the food, we add preservatives. Like when I go back home in the islands, I feel it's truly organic. You know, you get a fish from the sea, it's fresh. You cut a bunch of banana from the backyard, it's not fertilized. But how do we eat healthy? And when everything is in bulk and everything is GMO and you know,
Right.
to the chicken, the hormones, they get it in 6 weeks. It's the eggs, everything is, you know, modified. How
Right.
do we eat healthy?
Right. So the question about the salmon, so yes, the farm raised is not healthy, but sockeye salmon is always wild. So when it comes to salmon, you just make a different choice. But there are other fish that are just as good or maybe even better than salmon. So halibut, cod, and any trout or whitefish is just as good as salmon. But as far as it goes with the shopping, I guess you gotta check your labels, find out where it's coming from. There are indoor warehouses that are actually ones down in the Bowery. They are creating their indoor gardens, indoor farmhouse warehouses where they're growing all kinds of greens and plants. You should maybe want to come outside the city and come up to a place where there's farms. Up in Westchester, there's 2 farms that I can tell you about that are working farms. One is Hemlock Hills Farms. They have a working farm. You go in there, There's meat, eggs, chicken, there's bacon, there's anything that you want. There's another farm, he has a store in Bedford where he, raises all of the animals the proper way. He feeds them the proper way. And there are choices there. And he actually uses the other farms in the area up and pulls produce, pulls yogurt, pulls goat cheese, and brings it down. So at least we are getting food that actually has vitamins and minerals in it. And especially if we can't get it where, in the grocery store, because a lot of the stuff has been over harvested and there's no minerals in the soil. Like there's nothing in the soil that's actually giving it any nutrition. So you really should pay attention to that. And then last week when we talked about the codes on the produce, where it comes from, where the food comes from, and whether if it's organic, conventional, and we talked about if it's conventional, then you can just wash it with the white vinegar and water bath, let it sit for a little while, and then put it away, and then you'll have it for a longer time. I mean, yes, it's the winter time right now up here in New York, so it's just a matter of just finding your resources where you can get your foods.
But Karen, even like today when I went to Costco, even the shrimp is farmed. And by the way, I hear you mention shrimp earlier on. It's very loaded in cholesterol. So and I like shrimp, by the way, anyhow. But I saw wild tuna, $27 a pound. I mean, gee, it's expensive to maintain that organic lifestyle. I mean, your health, you can't put a price tag on your health, obviously.
Yep, I was just going to say that. It's either you're going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it later.
Later, right.
Yeah. And
Karen, I have one more question.
Sure.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
It's not controversial, but people have so much different take on it in terms of morals, your spirituality, your conviction. It's mentioned in the Bible many times. Jesus even turned the water into wine. Some people argue that grape juice. Wine is a food. I know it's high in calories. From a natural standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, a Christian standpoint, how do we see wine as a food? I know it's made from grapes, because some people tell you, I remember when I was growing up, I said if you drink wine, you go to hell. But I know some people would like to talk about it, they would like to touch it. It's how do you see that in terms of food? A glass of wine, is it good for your digestive system? What is some people's spiritual conviction on it? Whatever. Okay. What's your take on that?
Yep. So wine is alcohol. Alcohol is estrogen. So estrogens can lead to a whole host of hormonal imbalances in all kinds of places, either in women and in men. So that's the fact on that. But as far as it goes for consuming homemade wine, go ahead and give it a shot. Wines that are loaded with pesticides, obviously I'm going to say no on. And if you can find a really good wine from, let's say, France, Italy, South Africa has really good wines. Malbecs, they're not great for your brain. I mean, it's alcohol, right? So it gives you lack of blood flow. But if you're, having a glass here, having a glass there, Sunday comes and you're having it at church, it's not going to hurt you.
Is it okay for communion?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask you a serious question.
Only if you don't mix it with the fried chicken and the bagel.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Karen, quickly. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
No, go ahead, Bishop. You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Which food should I always buy organic? I know that there's so many things you can get organic, but which food should I really always, if possible, buy organic?
Blueberries.
Why is that?
Blueberries have the most pesticides on them per because they're so, they're so little, and they have the most pesticides. And if you go to ewg.org, which is environmentalworkinggroup.org, they will give you a list every year of the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. So the dirty dozen is what has the most pesticides on them. So blueberries, and blueberries have such a nutritional power punch to them that I would recommend blueberries is what you buy organically and in season. And if they're not in season, buy frozen.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions?
Berries are good on generally speaking, the strawberry, the blueberry, all the different berries, I guess.
Yes.
So I want to ask
I've got
about.
one question.
Go ahead, Doc.
We've got children. And we're talking about picky eaters, children who have issues with texture. How would you suggest we introduce them to fruits and vegetables?
So the texture part, right? So the sensory, it depends on which texture, again, is the one that they don't like or like. So if it's smooth, maybe putting it into a salad or or maybe on pizza, but make sure that you're having, you're making it yourself, or even have the children be involved in cooking, because that sometimes can dissipate the texture part. I know that when when my nephew was with me, he would be involved in the cooking, and it was a lot easier to get them to eat, or get him to eat, because he was involved. Right. So that's one tip I would give.
Okay, great.
I agree with that, because with my kids, especially the little one, we do a lot of things from scratch. Like I did the whole cauliflower crust from scratch, made them pizza with cauliflower crust.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were involved in the making of it, they tore that thing up. They tore that thing up. So it's
Awesome.
I do have a question though.
Sure.
Ice cream. Okay,
go ahead.
Bishop Wolliston. Ice cream. So a lot of people run to ice cream when they're depressed to cope. However, it is said that ice cream is because it's high in dairy, can actually lead to depression.
Yeah.
So ice cream, candy, and pastries can lead to depression.
Yeah.
Please, let's elaborate on this a little bit.
Yeah, sure. It's the sugar, right? So unless you're getting, because what happens is it lights up your brain, and then you have a crash. So it's the roller coaster, constant roller coaster that you're having. But when it comes to ice cream, there are organic, and there are ways you can make ice cream, like bananas, in the freezer, and just pop them into the food processor, throw some like frozen fruit in there. That could be your ice cream, along with adding in some coconut milk. Just make your homemade ice cream, make ice pops. I'm sure your kids would love that.
We've done it with heavy cream. We've made our own, and it came out pretty good.
I have
too.
Karen, I've made a switch from rice. I know rice is loaded in starch or whatever.
Yeah.
But I buy the cauliflower rice. Is that a good move? And I made that switch. So you made subtle changes, and as we get older, it's hard to get the weight off and different things like that. Your metabolism slows down, so that's one of the small changes that I've made. Instead of buying the ordinary rice, I would buy the cauliflower rice.
Congratulations. That's a huge switch for sure. You can also, so if you like brown rice is good too, and it acts like a little sponge. So what it does is it goes through your intestinal tract and it pulls out the toxins, and then you pass it. But also, maybe even a better switch would be black rice and red rice. Those two have your complete amino acid protein profile in the rice itself.
Did it have any taste?
It's good. Yeah, it's got like a nutty flavor. Yeah, it's good.
Really?
Yeah.
The other day I found myself I bought the basmati rice. There's a smell to it that I like.
Yes.
It's white though, but is it okay? Is it
So is it long grain? Is it from India?
Yeah.
Yes, you're good with that.
I tried that with a little curry, something, you know.
Oh, that killed it. Curry killed it.
That
No
killed
curry.
it.
Curry killed it. The curry killed it.
Very good.
No, but in curry, they say curry has what curry has? Curry has something in it that's
Yeah, curcumin, turmeric. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Beautiful.
So I mean, you know.
I'm certainly
Karen-
learning a lot tonight because I never ever heard of black rice
Or red rice.
Correct.
or red rice. I'm being honest with you. And I've been around not as long as Pastor Mackenzie, but
not as long as the senior.
Do you want to, I have it. I'll show it to you. You want to
Yeah,
see
sure.
yeah, please.
it? Okay, 1 second.
Sure. I mean, I've never heard of these things. It's like, wow, where have I been?
Well, I know the
Oh,
Haitians make black rice, but I don't think it's actually they put something that gives it a color.
I
Right.
think
But
it's black
actually,
beans.
like, huh?
Black
They put
beans.
The
The
black
black
bean
beans, negra beans. Yes.
and the Georgia or whatever they put in it. They make. I
Mhm.
love it. I have neighbors that are Haitians. They make the black rice.
Okay.
Oh,
There's black rice.
Mhm.
Wow.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's forbidden rice. And then here's the red rice.
Oh,
Okay.
Isn't that great?
So
I
it
was
is actually
there.
red and it is actually black.
Yes, yeah, it's black rice. And there's like a little recipe on here and it gives you all of the nutrition. And let me tell you about the nutrition. So it has 6 grams of protein per 1/3 cup is what you're supposed to, is your serving size, which is huge. That's amazing. And your dietary fiber is 3 grams. So that is, I mean, that's really good for rice because your white rice has nothing close to that.
I love rice. To be honest with you, I love rice. That's one of my favorite. I love rice. I just
Right. So
How
just make
expensive is
better
that?
choices. Yeah.
How
And
expensive, Karen?
what?
How expensive is that?
Well, forbidden rice, you know what? It depends on how you want to look at expensive. So you're eating healthy and you're not going to have leftovers, right? So because you're going to eat per serving. So it depends. I mean, let's say you made rice with broccoli and because this is protein, right? So this is a protein. So you want to eat it with fat and vegetables. So that's all you need is fat and vegetables. The fat is going to help you feel full longer. So when you're doing this, so this is 1/3 cup per serving. So per serving, I'm going to say it's just at the same amount as your drive-through would be.
Okay. I'm just saying from the standpoint of a family of 4 or 5 or 6,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
trying to eat healthy on a limited budget, you know, the regular rice, of course, it's cheaper, not good for you, but hey, you're in a budget.
Yep, I get that. I really do. But it's again, so you got to pick your argument. Which way are you going to save money, or which way are you going to eat? So are you going to maybe have Monday through Friday, have a good meals, and then go and cook at home, which is a lot cheaper than going out. And not only that, but even just all the preservatives and all the crap that's in the food when you're going out, you don't know how it's been cooked. And that's in your body and it's staying in your body. And we didn't even get to the part of the parasympathetic and the autonomic system that goes through your vagus nerve, which is the brain gut connection. So that is, so when you're eating badly, you're also not eliminating properly. Right? So that leads to constipation and all other things that get reabsorbed into your body. So again, how do you want to eat?
What are your thoughts on the sweet potato as opposed to I call it the white potato?
Yeah, I love sweet potatoes. I say eat them as much as you can. And they're actually on the list of good things for your brain.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So now we know. Now we definitely know. Okay, let me ask this question, Karen. So many foods are branded as healthy, whole grain, free, and so forth. Which claim should I be looking for above any other else?
Whole, like piece of whole fruit, piece of even like gluten-free. And I'm only going to say this because I believe that this is really what you should be eating. And so gluten-free oatmeal by Bob's Red Mill is the really only oatmeal that I believe is healthy for us, for our guts, for our health. And just because it doesn't have pesticides on it, it doesn't have all of the other things that can wreak havoc. So that's one thing. Fat-free, reduced fat, whatever else is a no-no. Who cares?
Quakers.
Yeah, eat the fat.
So are you saying good old Quaker oats is not good? We grew up on that.
I know, I did too. I did. I grew up
Is there
on it.
gluten in that?
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, snap.
Unless it says gluten-free, it's got gluten in it.
Wow.
But it's not full of fiber. Oats. I mean,
Oats is full of fiber. It's really, yes, exactly.
Right.
Yes, it's, again, you have to, pick your poison. You want gluten-free or you don't. It's up to you. I mean, if you're okay with it, then, you eat it. But if you don't even have to be not okay with it. But for me personally, I would serve gluten-free oatmeal. Bob's Red Mill.
Wow. Okay, Karen, whenever I go over to Trinidad, I've been there at least a dozen times, preaching all over Trinidad. Each morning, I wake up, I always ask for like at least 2 mangoes cut up and so forth. Mangoes, I love mangoes. I have that like virtually, if I'm there for 5 days each morning, I have mangoes. How bad is that?
Mangoes are really good for you. They're good for the brain. They make you happy, and you're eating them in the morning. Go for it. Yeah.
They make you smarter?
Well, I don't know. I haven't talked to a mango lately.
Aaron, I know you mentioned, you made mention of this, but let me just ask you this third question. What are some foods that really encourage brain health? You did touch on it to some degree, but what would you say are some other foods that do encourage brain health?
Right. So your healthy fats, right? So avocados are really good. Coconuts. I'm just going to go through like the mental health parts, and it's going to be a list of foods that we've already talked about, but that's because they are good for your brain. Okay. So our spices to support our mental health is saffron, turmeric or curcumin, peppermint, cinnamon is good for attention, ADHD, and irritability. Our dopamine-rich foods are for focus and motivation, which are turmeric, theanine from green tea, lentils, fish, lamb, chicken, turkey, beef, eggs, and nuts and seeds like pumpkin and sesame. High protein vegetables like broccoli and spinach. Our serotonin rich foods are for mood, sleep, and craving control, which are the eggs, turkey, seafood, the chickpeas, and then sweet potato and quinoa, right? So that helps the tryptophan too, which is a precursor to serotonin, which will help you sleep. Dark chocolate also increases serotonin. Okay, we're almost there. So GABA rich foods, which is for anti-anxiety, is broccoli, almonds, walnuts. Our walnuts look like a brain, right? So they're good for our brains. Lentils, banana, beef liver, brown rice, halibut fish. Here's our gluten-free whole oats, which I talked about. Oranges, so a whole orange, right? So not orange juice. Orange juice is not good for us, but a whole orange, if you juice it, you're good to go. Spinach. green tea, the maca root. Maca root is really, really good, and it's been shown to reduce depression. Omega-rich foods support nerve cell membranes and serotonin. So, it's the fish, the nuts and seeds, avocado. And then there is one more I want to chat about. So let's talk about the hormones, rich foods. So testosterone boosting foods are pomegranate, olive oil, oysters, coconut, our brassicas. Our brassicas are the Brussels sprouts, the cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, garlic. And then we have estrogen boosting foods, which are flax seeds, sunflower seeds, beans, garlic, are yams. And they're foods that are rich in vitamin C and vitamin B, which are our beets, parsley, anise seed, red clover, licorice, hops, and sage. So those are all, brain boosting foods.
Karen, very informative. I didn't hear you speak about what can enhance the male performance, so to speak, in terms of what he can eat to boost that aspect of his life.
Okay, so oysters, hot peppers, cayenne pepper, pomegranates. We need the blood flow, right? So again, those blood flow, red beets, beet greens, because if it's bad
watermelon could act like an aphrodisiac, like a watermelon.
Watermelon?
That's what I heard. That's what my neighbor told me. I don't know how true it is.
I never heard watermelon actually, but cinnamon too. Cinnamon and oysters. We already said oysters, but oysters, cinnamon, maca root.
So Karen, going back for just 1 second, are you saying no to a glass of OJ in the morning with my breakfast?
Only if you juice it yourself.
Yeah.
No container, no box.
Because
It's full of sugar. It spikes the blood sugar.
Right.
Actually, so when you juice one orange, your glass of orange juice is not like this big glass of orange juice. When you juice one orange, it's probably about the size it looks like that. It's
How many ounces?
It's
But
probably
doesn't it, Karen, doesn't this say that orange juice is loaded with vitamin C?
if you juice it yourself.
The sugar.
There's a lot of moms on this line listening tonight. You know that.
You know what? I hope there is, because they'll go, I hope I hope there is, because we need to understand that the portion control, what we're feeding our children, is really important. This is brain health, and this is their life. This is blood sugar. So if a mother or father, single mother, is feeding their child orange juice and it's this big, are you kidding? No.
Well, I must say, one of the things, and I speak for myself, but like in terms of us growing up, our culture from the islands, West Indies, we always ate large portions. I don't know if I speak for anybody else, but we never had like a little piece of carrot with a little string beans. We had a pot with yam and banana, and we loaded up with cassava, and I mean we ate large portions. I don't know if that's just our family or our culture, but I hope I'm speaking. We never ate in small portions, and I think that's where a lot of problem is. We eat large portions. They say it's better to eat 4 small portions than 1 large one, like a big, So how do we discipline ourselves? Because we go back for seconds, we just have an appetite for a large amount of.
Right. So this is what you can do. So portion control. Let's look at portion control, right? We're going to do this. So if you look at your palm, that is going to be your protein. That's the size of your protein. Okay.
That's right.
So 1 fist 1 fist is your carbohydrates, whether that be complex or simple. This is your sweet potato. Okay. 2 fists. These 2 fists, these are your vegetables. And then your thumb is your fat. So if you took like an avocado and you kind of like, you chop, I mean, I eat a half of an avocado and my thumb is an avocado, but when it comes to oil, so like my coconut oil, I have just a little bit of coconut oil every day. So you look at your hands to determine what your portion control is.
Karen, who's going to remember to do all of that?
Well, you have to look at your hands. You got to eat with it, right? You're eating.
Yeah.
Karen, then Bishop Wolliston will be overeating. His hands are like huge.
Well, that means he's going to have a big portion of protein, and then he's going to have carbohydrates and vegetables.
That's a oxtail.
Yeah, come on now.
There's oxtail. There you go.
Karen, let me ask you this question here. What would you say, or which drug would you say causes the most brain damage?
Oh, okay. So pharmaceutical wise, anesthesia, recreation, or just people doing constant drugs. I think they're all bad.
Including marijuana?
Yeah, marijuana is not good for the brain at all. Yeah, you know what? I think we should do another one, and I'll show you pictures of what it looks like, people's brains look like on different things, or dehydration.
Does this say that marijuana has a lot of benefits? It depends on how they make it in cookies, they make it in hemp oil or whatever, and it helps with asthma and different things we hear about marijuana, and there can be benefits. I don't know.
There's actually never been any studies saying that.
Well, you know.
I know people market it and they do that, but there's no study saying that. People market it as such, but there's not.
And let me ask you my last question. Are there any foods that can really prevent migraines?
Good question.
Right. So magnesium is one of the nutritional deficiencies that a lot of Americans have, and especially people that get migraines. So possible magnesium supplementation could be that, or you could eat nuts and seeds. Again, there's dark chocolate has magnesium in them, and so does cherries. Tart cherries, tart cherries.
Okay, got you there. And one last question, young lady. Any foods that you can recommend for joint pains? Not that, we have joint pains, but any food that you can recommend for joint pains?
Right, so we're going to go back to the anti-inflammatory, which is the turmeric, ginger, and omega-3s are good for joint inflammation.
I've got one question. In terms of what we were talking about, food portions, let's say, for instance, I'm a mom and I've got children, and one is very active. He's in football. And then I've got one that's a little more sedentary. What would you suggest the portions be for each of those children? Do I give them the same because their level of activity is not? How do you recommend that I portion their foods out?
Right, so you have a growing child that's in athletics or sports. Obviously, you know that person or that child needs more because of their growing and also their brain. And also, again, you have to take into consideration that their brain is not fully developed too. So you want to give them as much gray matter as possible to help them, protect their brain. But so I would definitely portion it out appropriately for as far as the with the children, and also taking into consideration that's the portions that she can afford or he can afford for their child or children.
Okay.
What do you do if a child decides or child asks for seconds, they want more after you do portion control?
It
You know, they'll
depends.
wake up in the night and come downstairs.
Well, there shouldn't be any food left if you portioned it properly.
Okay.
Aaron, doesn't
Answer.
psychologically going to the buffet, don't you eat more than, let's say, a la carte ordinary dining? I mean, because
Yeah.
when you see so much, the eyes, man, in terms
Their
of
eyes.
discipline, you go to a buffet, it's like eat all you can. You have a tendency to probably eat more.
Right. So again, that's the mental health part about it, where knowing when you need to stop. So portion control.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just a mentality, actually. That's not really I mean, going to a buffet, yes, you can eat all you want, but it's why are you got to ask yourself, why are you doing it? Like, why is this nourishing my brain or my body, or is it just gluttony like you were talking about before?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Karen, going back to portion control, are you telling me that if I have 5 kids, it's going to be 5 cups of rice or 5 spoons of rice or 5 this, 5 that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, again, you have to portion it out correctly to afford your family.
And no leftovers.
Well, it depends if you have leftovers or not. If you portioned it properly, do you want leftovers or don't you want leftovers?
I'm West Indian. Yeah.
Of course, I know leftovers are great. I know, I get it too. I love leftovers.
It tastes better in the morning, you know.
That's true. They do. They do. I understand.
Karen, what tips can you give us as parents to encourage children to drink more water? They often reach for the soda or they want that juice.
Yes.
How can we encourage them to drink more water?
That's a tough one for me, water.
All right. So do you want, is this good for my brain or is this bad for my brain? And explaining to your children, what a good brain will lead to in the future, opposed to a bad brain, or someone who has a bad brain, makes bad decisions, low blood flow, everything we kind of been talking about. So the blood flow is a big positive. Getting good grades, getting the car, getting the girl that you want or the guy that you want, just having a good job, is this good for my brain or is it bad for my brain?
My 4-year-old doesn't care about his brain. He wants
that juice, right?
He just wants that apple juice.
Yeah. Well, his cerebellum is developing right now.
Yeah.
His prefrontal, his forethought is not there.
Gotcha.
I'm big
Karen,
on water,
I know
Karen. I drink
water
about
is good for you, but the problem
6 of these for the day, 7.
Good. That's great.
The problem I have with water, it has no taste. I'm not a juice person. I'm not crazy about juice or soda. And I know what is good for you. I know it. But it has no taste. How do you drink something? That's just me.
Yeah. What about putting some muddled fruit or putting some strawberry in there or something that you like, and it's still healthy?
I prefer to eat the strawberry.
I hear you. Yeah.
I don't want to drink it.
I hear you.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, lemon, and then there's mint. There's herbs. There's rosemary. Rosemary is good for your brain. And it's
What are your thoughts on flavored water? Yeah or nay?
So I think stevia actually may have one that's not bad. They have chocolate or strawberry. There's different things. But I think you have to pick which one is good for you, because there's a lot of different ones that they're just natural flavors. And we talked a lot about that last week, where it's just sugar. It's complete sugar.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Ladies and gentlemen, we only have 3 minutes left, and I know that you have a tremendous amount of questions. Okay, but unfortunately, time is of the essence. Okay, we have heard a lot and we have said a lot. What really should we take away from this conversation tonight? Let's go over to Dr. Dolores Ben. Woman of God, What should we take away from the conversation tonight?
Karen, thank you so very much. It has been an enlightenment. I'll take away, I'm going to look or pay close attention to my sugar intake. I've often looked at it and balanced, but I am going to take a closer look. I much prefer fruit than fruit juice, but I love water. And just for a tip, Bishop, I put lemon in my water and it tastes really good. And I'm going to do that.
I usually put sugar.
Sugar?
I'm going to pay attention to my sugar intake. Thank you.
Thank you. Apostle.
Well, certainly, thank you, Karen. This was very informative, and I think we need conversation like what we're having tonight.
Yes,
And so, thank you so much for your knowledge and for adding value to us. Thank you.
Thank you much, Pastor Richard McKenzie.
And Karen, I echo the sentiments. Thank you so much. We've learned so much. We've educated ourselves. We're now more cognizant of the ingredients, portion control, eliminating MSG, wild over farm raised. So what have I taken from tonight? The key to a sweeter life is bitter food. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Bishop Dr. Neville Wolliston, so what should we take
Bishop,
away?
there is so much. I just simply say no more orange juice.
Okay.
Unless you juice it yourself. Juice it yourself.
Okay. What juice myself?
Last but
That's
not
not
least. Okay,
Thank you, Karen.
what should we take away? Karen?
I have to say that I'm so blessed and honored that I'm able to be here the second week. I love the banter. I love the the camaraderie, and I'm just very honored. I really am grateful. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.
Listen, we just want to thank you, Karen, for a job well done. Come on, let's put our hands together for her. Job well done, young lady. And I'm sure that Dr. Phil will definitely have you back. Just want to thank God for the panel. And I know that we are leaving now, but let's also keep our brothers and sisters, the Ukrainians, in prayer that God will so perform a miracle. Once again, this is Bishop Scott from the Bishop's Corner saying good night. All being well, we will meet next